Welcome to Bourbon Taste-Offs, playoff brackets of the best whiskeys. Join us in our season-long quest to find our tastiest bourbon. Hello, welcome to Bourbon Taste-Offs. This is episode number 14. Wow, we're really adding them up, aren't we, guys?
Yeah, they're piling up.
They are. We're your hosts, Todd, Dan, and Josh, and we're going to get into this tasting. I think today we're going to do Basil Hayden Taste-Off. So Basil Hayden has a lot of options out there.
Who's Basil Hayden? His parent, Jim Beam?
Jim Beam, yep.
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
So Basil Hayden was actually one of my first big, bourbons that I got into, and my father-in-law was really big into Basil Hayden, and they have their dark rye, and then they have their straight bourbon, and we'd make old fashions out of them. But so this is something that I probably back in 2019 or 18 that I started drinking this. So it's been a while, but this is one of the starts.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Basil Hayden's Toasted is one of my favorite toasted products. That I think Penelope's and Yellowstone has one, but I think the Basil Hayden Toasted is the one I like the best of that line. So I'm familiar with that product for sure.
Yeah, from what I've tasted, I like the toasted the best as well.
Yeah.
So we had 8 bottles that we got to choose from, and we just randomly picked, and we have 4 of them poured in front of us. So let's pick which one goes against number 1. Josh, if you want to reach in there and pick a number.
So there are 8 different Basil Haydens, huh?
There might be even more.
There's more.
Really?
Yeah. So
1 versus 4.
perfect.
Well, that lined up well.
And what I noticed is that each of them are only 80 proof. Like they don't vary. They don't vary much in proof at all.
They found their sweet spot, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, now I think about it, I have a Basil Hayden's 10. I do have a Basil Hayden's 10 now that I think about that. And that's a newer product for them, right?
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be in here because I had one and the toast. Should we cheers?
Cheers.
Here
Cheers,
we go.
guys.
Yeah. On the back it says they have a trademark for their spicy finish. So maybe that's what Basil Hayden was.
Maybe that's why I like Basil Hayden so much, because of that. I'm a big fan of the spice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smells good.
Yeah.
Not too rich, but smells good. And a good taste.
It is a good taste. I burnt my tongue yesterday.
Pizza?
No, but typically that's what it is.
Hot Pocket?
No. So I just got a Blackstone grill and I put it, together, and we made some burgers.
Tongue on it to see if it was hot?
Essentially, I had the spatula on the Blackstone griddle, and there was a little piece of cheese on there, and I took it to my tongue and tried to lick the cheese off the spatula, but it was
hot?
It was very hot, yeah. So I don't know if I'll taste much sweetness today, so I'm going to rely on you guys, I think, on the sweet part of it. Yeah, so don't do that. Don't lick hot things. Some of these I haven't had. I haven't had the subtle smoke. Josh, you brought some that had some rye components in them.
Yeah, I brought 4 ryes.
Okay.
There's 4 different Basil Hayden ryes?
Yeah.
Really?
Malted, Caribbean, 10-year, and the dark.
The 10 years of rye? I guess I didn't even know that.
They have both. They have a 10-year
okay, gotcha.
rye, and they have a 10-year.
Okay.
So when Todd was like, "Hey, we're doing Basil Hayden," I was like, "I think I have a lot of that." So I went down to my basement, captured a picture, and I sent it over to him. I was like, "Hey, what should I bring over?" And he's like, "All of them." So I did.
He had a lineup. It was so impressive. It was cool. It's like, I guess, yeah, it makes sense that we're doing that tasting then.
Yeah.
It's hard to see if this one is like either a rye or a toasted or an aged or just the basic, because it also has that spice.
I don't think it's a rye. It doesn't have that. Well, we all know what my theories were. I had a big theory for that taste off, and my theory didn't work out as well as I thought it was going to.
I will say, Dan, I am on a Four Roses. If anything out of this whole experience for me, it's brought revalidation to how good Four Roses is.
I think it's totally undervalued in the market.
Yeah. So keep it a secret here, Lord.
I was at
You're so right, though.
Yeah.
a large brand liquor store. They had a barrel pick that I went Friday and Saturday.
Oh,
Get 2 of them. And there were some guys in line whining about how they can't get any allocated products. And I had a couple things to say. I'm like, well, why don't you try this store? I know they carry allocated. You just got to ask. And then I went on to say, like, well, I can tell you something that's comparable to Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, E.H. Taylor. You know, I can tell you one that I just did a tasting, and I can tell you some ones that are better, and they're right over there on the shelf, in my opinion, and the group of people, you know, so.
Did they get out of line and go get something, or no? They ignored you?
They're attached to the name.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I think. They're attached to the name. That was the whole point of that, is like, we can, sure, let's find those bottles when they come along. I mean, right? You find a Bland's bottle, let's pick that up, you know? But we don't have to like, oh, I won't drink. Oh, here I am standing looking in the shelf. And there's a whole mess of bottles in front of you right now that will taste just fine, that are here every day.
but that doesn't impress your friends when they come over. You got to have these bottles that are just sought after, I guess. But no, it shouldn't be like that. It should be just what you enjoy.
Yeah, I gotta imagine for people that if they do it for a while, like get into this, and they dig, maybe they come to the same conclusion that the three of us have, is I don't need that expensive one in order to, enjoy myself.
Right.
But I mean, just getting into it, I mean, it's like the hype of, oh, Weller this, or, E.H. Taylor that.
Right. I was going to, one of the ones I left out, I was going to do the Stag against the Larceny, that barrel proof one, which I thought would have been a very good balance. But if you ask me the Larceny bottle for $60 or the Stag for $2.25, I'd rather have 3 of the Larceny bottles. It's great that I've had a Stag bottle at the house. People have been able to come over. Yes. Is it great? Yes. But $2.25? That's crazy. For a bottle of bourbon? I went out to steak dinner with my college son to a comedy show, and they had Knob Creek 18. And I just said, oh, yeah. Bill comes $60 for a pour. That's just stupid, right? $60? Come on, $60 for an ounce, 2-ounce pour
Yeah.
of bourbon?
Part of that, though, is because it's aged for 18 years. And they tax these barrels for every year that they're in storage.
Right, and it's taking up space.
Yeah.
It's taking up, so that's all a part of it. But
Yeah.
nothing's worth $60 for an ounce and a half.
I paid more than that for things, but what's that? The Old Forester birthday bourbon, and I've had that, and I think that's like $1,500 retail, or if you can find it, or aftermarket. Regardless, it was not worth what I paid.
And you don't want to share.
Oh, I think we paid for a 2-ounce pour, like $75 or $100.
Okay.
And then, I've done some expensive ones. My best friend, super generous, but we went out for my birthday. This is 2-3 years ago, and spent almost $400 on 3 shots, or three shots.
Wow.
So it was like going to the Packer game.
Yeah.
So
That's how you prioritize, I guess.
Yeah, we went out for just dinner last night, and half of the bill was drinks. And it's just like, you know what? I got to just start ordering water and then go home and have a decent priced cocktail or drink or whatever. It's just crazy to be spending half your bill on, $12 pour of wine. It's like the whole bottle's that much.
Yeah.
And it's not even a good pour, I I don't know. It just seems crazy.
Before I got into bourbon, I was into wines, and there was $100 bottles of wine too. But those you can't once you open them, you have to finish them. You know, you can buy $100 bourbon, but you can pour a little here, a little there, and it keeps forever after that too. You know, so
Well, I'm a little confused on these two because these two taste really similar to me. We haven't been tricked, have we?
no, I mean they
Do
are.
they taste similar to you guys?
I think they taste very different from each other.
I think they're different as well. I'm picking up more of a rye, I think, out of 4.
I have harsh for 4 and hot on the nose is what I wrote down.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would think that this would be. You said there was a dark rye option,
I mean, there was 4 ryes.
right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna guess, man, because I'm gonna
Okay,
be
yeah,
wrong.
that's true. That's true. This is when I put it right up here on my editing. It'll be like I was not.
We should have a count of how many times we guessed and we are wrong. Like Josh, number 755 by average 70 an episode.
But when it's right, you look like a genius. It's like, oh, I'm so good.
4 is hotter than 1, but I don't think by a lot. And if it's a rye, then maybe there's a rye at my house I could start buying because it doesn't taste like a typical rye to me. I mean, but
And maybe it's not.
maybe it's just 51.49 or something like that. I've got a winner between the two, but they're very close to me, and I don't think they're not dramatically different. They're both very drinkable, right? They're not punchy in the face. I'm not even getting a hug from them. Finishes are not much. I'd pick 4 if I had to choose.
Okay.
And that's just because it's got a little more to it. And that what you think may be the rye. If I were to guess, I'd say 1 is just your regular old Basil Hayden's. Doesn't have a lot there. The nose is kind of weak. It's not bad. It's not pungent or it's affecting me. It almost tastes kind of weird where it's like you have the alcohol flavor and then you taste like water. Like they're not blended together. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like they're not blended together well yet. Like it hasn't aged very long. They're not in sync with each other yet. But that's what 1 had the kind of thing. But I'd pick 4 of the 2.
Yeah, I am gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go with 1. I found a little bit more sweetness to it, and maybe it is just the regular run of the mill. You know, who knows? But I like the sweetness I'm getting off of it. I mean, you did mention that, maybe this like separation water and stuff. I mean, they're all only 80 proof, which they're always going to be kind of watered down compared to other, offerings from different companies.
I wonder if that has, because I'm not drinking. Seems like lately I've been drinking stuff at a much higher proof point, and maybe that's what I'm noticing today is this stuff at a lower point is just a little different than where I've been at lately. I guess if you were drinking all stouts and then all of a sudden somebody gave you a Coors Light, you'd be like, wow, this seems like a lot different than where I've been lately.
This is water.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I'm going with 1 on that one.
Awesome. So it's interesting. The way that you were describing 4 is actually how I describe 1. I do. I think it smells good. It's a good taste. It's good from beginning to end. So I actually prefer 1. I actually found 4 a little bit harsher, a little bit hot on the nose. So yeah, 1 is it for me.
All right, we got 1. All right. So now we will put that one aside, and we will go to.
We're keeping 1. 1 was the winner?
1 was the winner. Yep.
Yep.
Boy, I wonder if this one's a Basil Hayden.
You guys know any good dad jokes? We were kind of Googling them a little bit today.
I watched a YouTube video of about 10 of them.
Dad jokes.
Yeah, recently.
You're like, hey, what time do you have your appointment today? You're like, or I have a dentist appointment. And I was like, oh, what time is it? Oh, is it at 2:30?
That's pretty bad.
That is, I like dad jokes though. It's pretty
And
funny.
then here's another one. Why is a leopard easily found?
Something about spots.
Because it's spotted.
I don't always wake up grumpy. Sometimes I'll let her sleep in.
We're here all day.
Yeah, I've seen some of those like reels where those two guys are on like a dock.
Yeah, that's
and
the one
they're-
I think I just seen.
and they're just sitting there talking, telling dad jokes. It's pretty funny. I like every one I've had though. Like I do like Basil Hayden, obviously. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what number 4 was. See if it is aged longer. If it's one of the 10-year. Yeah, this one has a. I think it has a finish. I hope the subtle smoke is in this lineup, and I'm also hoping the toasted is in this lineup.
So I've already gone on to 3. I'm just sprinting. Maybe it's just because it's the first episode of the day, but I'm kind of excited about.
3 has a very unique smell to it. 3 does. It's not doesn't smell like the other ones at all.
And has a unique taste.
Does it? I haven't got that for you. It has 3 has a very unique smell.
I don't know if my nose is working either. Maybe when you burn a tongue, your nose stops working too. Ooh. Yeah, this is gonna be tough because there's a lot of similarities, obviously, between all of them. I mean, they're probably all, except for the Rise, kind of has the same mash bill, and then they just treat it differently in the aging process. Mm-hmm. Got a hole in my lip. Drinking my water, it's coming right down my shirt. Oh, did you see my shirt? I got a Bourbon Taste Off.
Pretty fancy.
That's awesome. Reppin'.
Fancy.
That's right.
Reppin'. That's awesome, Todd.
Pretty cool what you can do with iron-on pages. Just print it out on the...
A year from now, we'll have hats and koozies.
That'd be awesome.
We'll brand it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never actually talked about the logo before. My daughter, she goes to MIAD. She's actually graduating in May, but it's Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and she's just a really talented artist. She's illustrated children's books for people. In fact, Brett Suter, the pitcher for the Brewers, he made a children's book about his dog always taking the binky away from his kids. Well, my daughter actually illustrated that book for him.
Oh, man, that's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I asked her to do me a favor, and if she could design a logo, and I think it looks great.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think she did a great job. So yeah, I can't wait for a day when we have like a lot of merchandise, you know, whether it's hats and even if nobody buys it, I don't care. Like I want them. I'm gonna have stuff all over my house, you know.
So how would you describe 3? We really haven't even described number 2 either.
We didn't. Yeah, we kind of skipped.
So I'm kind of sprinting through this, but I have some notes, but I'd be really curious to hear both of yours perspective on 2 and 3.
I'm having a hard time. These are all tasted really similar to me.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very subtly different for sure.
That's wild. And I'm like, for me, they're very different. So
Oh, nice. Well, you didn't burn your tongue. That's why.
Yeah. So Dan, so you have 2 in your hand right now. How would you describe 2?
There is nothing about 2 that I don't like, but there's also nothing about 2 that I love. It's just okay. It's not a bad bourbon, something that I would just like toss aside. Like you guys heard me in episodes before, like give away half a bottle to one of my kids because like I don't like this. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be going back to like, oh, you should try this one, guys. Come over here and like.
So it's not a sharing one, not one worth of sharing.
Yeah, I don't have nothing bad to say about it or nothing good to say about it. It's just there. It doesn't have a long finish. Maybe the 80 proof is just too low for me. Mm-hmm. Let me try it again.
That is the lowest you can go with a bourbon, is 80 proof.
Well, you sure wouldn't want to put an ice cube in that.
No.
Because there wouldn't be nothing
Dilute
left,
it
right?
a little bit, yeah. Then it tastes like a light beer.
Yeah, there's not a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in. I do agree. I said it was just okay. That was kind of my first note for this.
For 2 or 3?
For number 2.
Okay.
I said a little bit, this is an odd way of describing it, but a little odd, and I said, I'm okay with it. What, Todd, any thoughts on 2?
Yeah. All of these I'm getting that spicy, at the end, like the trademark spicy finish that Basil Hayden is known for. Number 2, I'm getting, I think between 2 or 3, one of them is toasted. And maybe the other one's a rye or has that subtle smoke. But you can definitely get that it's something different than the basic Basil Hayden. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy them. I mean, they're only 80 proof, but because the spice is on there, it almost tricks you into thinking, it is a little hotter. Mm. So it's going to be a tough decision for me between 2 and 3, honestly.
3, I think, has got a little bit more going on. So if I were going to pick, I'd pick 3 just because it's Miller instead of Miller Lite.
Right.
But still not worthy of an ice cube because you wouldn't even taste anything then. 3's got a little bit more going on. I'm going to say 3 is the subtle smoke. That's what I'm kind of picking up there.
Okay.
But,
did you get any rye from any of the tastings yet?
If I did, it was 4. Is that what I thought it was?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
The one I liked, I voted for. If there was, but if it is, I don't even know their mash bills. If it is, then it's not rye forward. It's 51.49 or whatever, but 'cause it's not Big Red Gum,
Right. So go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, if we're voting, I'm going to talk about 3 now. I am going to pick that as well. I think you're right. It might be that subtle smoke. And again, I thought maybe one was and maybe the other one was toasted. I like them both, but I think 3 it hits and there's more going on.
If it's subtle smoke, it's more the nose to me than almost the tasting. The nose tastes that kind of something different, maybe some smoke thing to it. Yeah,
I'm getting on the taste myself.
Yeah, for me it was more the taste. I'm not. It's tough for me to pick up from a nose perspective. I've never had that talent, but I definitely taste it. For number 3, I wrote down darker, spicier, fuller. So for me, it was, and if you've been watching, you know that I prefer darker, spicier, fuller. Right. So for 3, it was actually a runaway, a 3 versus 2.
Excellent.
We all picked 3. Way to go! Woo. Yeah, that was pretty good. I can't wait to see these. So we're gonna look and see what bottle 2 and 4 is, and see if we were right or wrong on what we kind of mentioned on those. All right, so the bottles are back.
This is the one I brought. I don't remember.
Is that toasted rye or toasted regular?
I think toast regular.
Toasted regular. So what we have is
10-year.
Bottle 4, which was the first one that went up against 1, is the Basil Hayden aged 10 years. So it's an 80 proof 10 year. So you know that they keep it in the barrel for 10 years and then water it down to be an 80 proof. Wow. Yeah, that had a little bit of the aging was on there.
That's disappointing.
It was. So I have this bottle at home.
I have it too, but haven't opened it. And now I'm disappointed that I paid like $80 for it, and it didn't hold up very well at all.
Spot on. When I had this, I was actually disappointed as well. So it goes to show not all 10 years are good.
It toasted the 2 that we said the toasted doesn't win. Wow.
I caught that. I caught that toast in number 2, and I mentioned it. And I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Because I could taste that toast in there. even with a burnt tongue. I'll only say it like 2 more times, and then I'll be done.
I'd love to hear what the thinking is behind watering that 10-year down to 80 proof.
I would assume it's a monetary thing. I'm going to be honest with you. A Jim Beam monetary.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get as much bourbon out of this and label it 10 years.
Do you want to talk about the notes and the taste profile? Because they actually write on there what it's supposed to taste like. And
Yeah, for the toast, finish sweet caramel, and then specifically crafted new toast cherry oaked barrels. Part a unique flavor to this Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, revealing layered notes of toasted wood, sweet caramel, always with the subtle complexity for which Basil Hayden Basil Hayden is known and loved. So 80 proof. Yeah. Interesting, huh?
that is. I got some of that too, and I always say caramel myself.
Yeah, I feel like in the UK, caramel.
Yeah.
Well, on to 1 and 3.
Yeah. Can we move these up maybe a little bit?
Absolutely.
Just right there is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Why
One.
let something age for 10 years and then water it down to where it tastes like Coors Light? I mean, isn't the whole idea is letting it absorbing all that and then you're going to take all that away?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was really surprised too when I first picked that up and saw that it was an 80 proof.
Usually that 10 to 8 to 12 is that kind of the sweet spot for me. A lot of the products that are 10 years are kind of just like, it's really getting that rich, robust. It's disappointing.
So
Well-
there's definitely a difference between 1 and 3.
Yeah, there is.
This is a tough choice because it's more of a preference.
I agree.
I think this is less of a which one is better. It's more of a preference. That'd be my perspective.
I was dealing with that same conundrum between 2 and 3. I was like, I enjoyed them both. I'm just like, what's my preference on it? And that was it. For 1 to beat a 10-year, I thought the 10-year was still good, but I thought 1 deserved.
So Dan picked the 10-year.
You did.
So you picked the 10-year, Dan. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, you said there was more going on with it.
You liked it a little bit more.
Why do you guys like the 1 better? Was it 1 versus the 4?
1 was
versus
against
4.
4, yeah. To me, I got more of a sweet note to it than the 10-year.
Now between the 1 and the 3, 1 seems like it's got more taste going on than the 3. It's got more there, which I would have thought would have been a bottle that sat in a new charred barrel for 10 years, but clearly I know very little about bourbon.
I wouldn't say that.
I actually, funny, I wrote marshmallow down for number 3.
Okay.
After I taste it again. I think that smoke, maybe it's like, hey,
That subtle smoke.
yeah.
I'm really thinking it is.
What am I thinking of? Penelope have a marshmallow one out right now?
So there is a marshmallow one.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I had it, and it was terrible. I actually, so my best friend picked it up. I should actually bring it here so we can try it. It did taste like marshmallow. And I was like,
Wow.
why would I want my bourbon to taste like a marshmallow?
Okay. They're doing a ton of stuff, isn't Penelope? Isn't like a Rio one? I see that one's being chased a lot.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
I think I might have texted you guys when I tried that marshmallow one, like our group chat. I was like, tried this. Don't do it.
I've got a winner between these two. Well, and here's the easy way to tell: the empty glass.
Yeah.
So I went back to 1 more, and that's the easiest way to decide a winner for me. Is like, what did I drink a little bit more of?
I'm getting a mesquite, like a mesquite smoke. It's almost like I'm on the grill and I'm cooking a steak, and I just tasted that mesquite seasoning that I sometimes will put on a steak, and I love it. I love number 3.
Oh, so I'm going to be the deciding one here.
You are. Yep. I think, yeah, Dan saw that one beat the 10-year, and he.
Now I'm picking the one that I didn't like before.
But yeah, true.
But do you like one?
I
No.
like one better than 3.
Okay. But you like 4 better than 1.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he might have picked 4 to take it all, essentially. And that's how it's the luck of the draw sometimes.
So I wrote down 3 marshmallow. I'm not a big fan of the marshmallow taste. I do like 3 with the more I drink it, I do like it. But I'm gonna go with my first instinct and go with number 1.
All right.
I wrote down, it smells good taste, full. I like number 1. So.
Yeah, whatever we've had today, there's none of these Basil Hayden bottles have been bad. I would just say I'm unimpressed. We haven't had one in the 4 where we were like, "Ooh, I like this a lot." What is it?
Right.
We haven't had one of those where we've liked it a lot, right? Basil Hayden's not my go-to, and maybe this kind of reaffirms it. And the toast that sits here is one of the losers, and we talked before about how I thought it was one of my favorite toasted products.
Yeah.
We had a toasted last, the 1910 Old Forester, and that didn't do well either.
The 1910 is a toasted product?
I believe it is.
Okay.
You thought it might have been just
Double
double
oaked
oaked, but it's a finish either way. I mean,
Right.
they use it, put it in another barrel. I like 3 though.
So you liked it, huh?
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking of a steak right now.
Well, let's bring them out, huh?
Bring them out. All right. So we're back.
Oh, hey, just for clarifications, I stand corrected. Oh, Old Forester whiskey is another double oaked bourbon, meaning it's after its initial aging time, it's finished again in an extra barrel. Old Forester 1910 is finished in a toasted barrel. So, toasted.
What was the double oaked one? What was that one?
Same thing. It's saying it's double oaked.
And toasted?
And, well, I guess I don't know what the definition of toasted is.
Well, toasted is just a different char. Like they bring it like gradual heat, I believe, where it's not like just a char flame, like making the wood charcoal. It's a slow, like heating process that toasts the wood, and you get that toast when you age things in it.
Right, so it's almost a double oaked toasted.
Interesting.
That is. So what we have, I'll talk about the loser first. So the loser came out, that was glass 3, is Basil Hayden Subtle Smoke. So I actually, in the taste-off, tasted the toasted and the subtle smoke and correctly guessed it.
I think we all captured that subtle smoke.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
for being subtle, it wasn't too subtle. Like I wouldn't say it was overpowering, but it was definitely, when you talk about what else we were tasting, it was easy to pick out that there was a little smoke in there.
Yeah.
And that's a new bottle, new product from them. And I've seen it on the shelves, and a couple times it's been in my hand, but I haven't. But knowing what I know now, I'm not sure that I would go buy it.
Okay.
It wasn't bad, but it's a little, was it more of the $70, $80 range?
I honestly think it was like 55.
Okay, so it wasn't bad, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as much as the 10-year. 10-year is $80.
Right.
I'm just going to read the notes on the subtle smoke is hickory, caramel, velvety mouthfeel. And then the finish says soft smokiness.
So I picked a rye as the winner.
So here's the funny thing. We actually had 2 10-years go against each other. We had a 10-year rye versus a 10-year bourbon.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. So this is the Basil Hayden 10-year. Crafted with rare whiskey. Opens up approachable spice, surprising sweet vanilla, complemented by oak and subtle caramel. Faint tobacco lingers on the finish with hints of warm cinnamon, bottled at 80 proof. This light yet flavorful rye whiskey is sure to please any palate. I liked 1 from the beginning.
Yeah.
I really did.
It was very good. You and I both are fans of ryes. What I'm really surprised in, though, is that Dan picked a rye 10-year to beat a just straight up bourbon option 10-year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Are we converting you?
I think I can be converted as long as it's not 80-20 in the rye mash bill.
Yeah.
But I think some of these ones that are
Typical straight ryes are like 95.5, which is like 95% rye and 5% barley.
yeah.
Well, this is another one that was a 10-year, but only 80 proof. So really muted.
Yeah.
And I think, Dan, that's where you're like, it's muted enough that it gets rid of
The rye.
the rye.
Right. I think you're absolutely right.
I like that it said surprising sweet vanilla, because that is kind of surprising to get off of a rye.
You know, I'm just for fun. I'd like to maybe pull out some of the other bottles that we have just to kind of show the audience, just say like some of the other things.
I like that idea. Let's
Yeah.
do it. I'll go get them.
So what's funny is when we were going through this, I had actually thought one was the regular.
You did. I remember.
I
yeah.
did think, but I didn't want to say because I didn't want to seem stupid. Well, I was wrong, which is why I didn't say anything. So this is actually one of my favorites, the Caribbean Reserve Rye by Basil Hayden. And when I was down in Kentucky in 2020, downtown, right across from the, right next to the Old Forester Distillery, they had someone that said, "Hey, have you tried the Caribbean Reserve Rye?" And it actually is somewhat similar to that Angel's Envy Rye. So finished in a Caribbean cask. So very good.
I did not think Basil Hayden had this many different options. I was surprised when you took the picture and sent it to me saying you had all these different ryes. I'm holding a malted rye, which, guess what? It's 80 proof. And the notes say it's lightly floral, hints of oak, caramel, and cinnamon. Finish is a chocolate and warm spice. Man, I just want to try all these now, actually. But
Yeah, I didn't. I can read that the back of the Caribbean. It says Canadian rye Kentucky straight rye whiskey with Canadian rye whiskey and a subtle touch of black strap rum. Result is amber spirit with aromas of toasted oak, brown spices, and molasses. And that molasses thing is kind of interesting because that's when we talk about that Angel's Envy rye. We taste that molasses, right?
we do, yeah.
That's
And I'm excited. Our next episode is actually going to be the monthly winner episode where, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think we had the Angel's Envy Rye finished in the rum because we had the finished episode. And then the two episodes that were at Dan's party, we came away with a Blanton's and a Four Roses single barrel proof. And then now this one is going to join the fray. And so we have the rye 10-year Basil Hayden. So I can't wait to taste all those next episode.
Yeah, we have one more rye from Basil Hayden, the dark rye, and I think this was kind of the OG original. They had their Basil Hayden bourbon and the Basil Hayden dark rye, from what I remember from like 6-7 years ago. But essentially a blend of rye whiskeys and a touch of port. So Canadian rye, Kentucky rye, and then port. So 80 proof. Yep, you're right. So, well, hey,
That's not even open yet.
not even opened.
So you don't even know what that tastes like, huh?
I've had this probably.
Oh, you have?
25 times, but it's been probably about 4 or 5 years since I've had this.
Okay.
Again, my father-in-law loved this. We drink it straight. We drink it in old fashions. We drink it a couple different ways. So
I wonder if Basil Hayden's just feels like they can get a lot of bartenders to pour this product at 80 proof because people that are coming up to the bar don't want something strong, something too over the top. And I wonder if it just sells well that way. Give me a bourbon on the rocks.
I don't know too many people that actually would order Basil Hayden on the rocks. I think maybe that's where all the gimmicky stuff of the toasted, the subtle smoke, the malted. That's where they get the on the rocks type of thing. But these were very heavy mixers. We would use what do you want for bourbon? It's kind of like up there with like, hey, you want your old fashioned with Bullet or Basil Hayden or this, Jim Beam. Oh, well, Basil Hayden. They got a sleeve on it. Oh, it's cool. It's got So I think a little marketing.
So would you say not? I don't know a lot about mixed drinks, but like when people upgrade their vodka, they want Grey Goose or
Belvedere, right?
Or something like that, as opposed to this rail. So they're like, oh, give me a Basil Hayden and Coke. And
Right.
that's an upgrade to their.
I would doubt with Coke, but like more of like the cocktails.
Okay.
So
Okay. So Basil Hayden, do you think would be too much for a Coke? Or you just have Beam and Coke?
I know a Jack and Coke,
Jack and
Jameson and Coke, Jim Beam and Coke. I don't know. I've been years since I've been around and Coke drinker.
Okay.
That didn't drink one of those three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Basil Hayden getting ordered out there a lot, but clearly they're selling a lot of products somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wonder if it's more in a bar setting.
Yeah.
To be determined. Hey,
Yeah.
I think we just start going. We bar hop.
Start asking the questions.
Right.
Well, this has been a fantastic tasting. You know, I've been a fan of Basil Hayden for a while. To me, it's that entry proof of, getting into tasting bourbons, and it's such a low proof. It makes it a little easier, but it also gives you that spice at the end to be able to appreciate the different nuances, in my opinion. So thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next episode.